everyone. Welcome to kind of our COVID edition of these videos here. We're from Creative Technology Solutions. My name is David Grant. I am the digital marketing specialist for us here at Creative Technology Solutions. I'm here with Tim Pointer, who is our president, and he serves as our virtual chief information officer for our customers. And Creative Technology Solutions, we are consultants. We're helping with technology, and our virtual chief information officer functions to really lead small businesses as leading the virtual IT department. So smaller businesses need major business resources to be able to accomplish their objectives. And for us, we can provide that by coming alongside a business, helping you to achieve your objectives by removing the obstacles of technology, but helping to set a strategy to make sure that your technology is in place to help you to run, help you to move forward, help your business to grow. And that's what we're all about. So what we're doing here today is, of course, we love to help with technology, but we also want to help you along the way. So we want to put these resources together, sometimes to talk about some more basic, important technology things like we have today. But we also want to have some deeper conversations about how you find value in the technological investment that you make, and also just kind of talk through what it means to be a business owner and move forward and pursue your objectives as a business. So today we've got a pretty important topic. I got an email from one of our customers the other day telling us that they're seeing these pop-up boxes, the alerts telling them that some of their software is not going to be compatible for much longer with their Apple device, with their computer. And then there's these red dots in system preferences telling them they need to upgrade to the newest operating system. And what should we do? Do we do that? What does it mean for my business if I go ahead and click that that button and upgrade? What does it mean for my software if I go ahead and make that happen? And we do need to address this topic, and in part because of a lot of the confusion that is out there. Apple wants you to upgrade to the newest operating system. It benefits them. They look better when they have more people saying, on their platform. And if you go to Apple's website, you can find a whole lot of really exciting information about this new upgrade called Big Sur. You learn that there's, it's beautiful. There's a lot of power benefits to it. There's battery benefits. There's a whole lot of really great features to a whole bunch of Apple apps. So really, there's no downside to going ahead and upgrading your system, at least from Apple's perspective. And then they put it right in your face. So we need to understand, is this the right thing to do? Should I be upgrading? And so, Tim, that's really where I want to bring you into this conversation here is what should you be doing? Should you go ahead and press that button, or is there something more we need to be thinking about?
Yeah, David, Apple definitely makes it hard to think that you should not do this. And I think ultimately it is going to be the right thing to do if you're an Apple fan and a Mac user. But you really do have to pause for a moment when you see those and make sure that it is the right time to upgrade. So one of the things, Apple's making this a big deal right now, right? I mean, they're calling this OS 11, and we've been on 10 since 2000. So if it's been that many number of years, and now we're on 11, that signals a pretty big thing. So Apple is making it a big thing. They want us to move forward, and also they're naming the new version of the OS after this massive central coastline in California. So just by name, they're making it a huge thing. It is a big thing, and I think it's marking a shift in direction for Apple. We know what some of that looks like because of what they've announced so far, but we don't know all of what that is. So some things that are curiosities is, why is the OS starting to look more and more like the iOS on our phones and our iPads? And Apple is now saying with Big Sur that you're going to be able to run your apps that are on your phones and on your iPads on your Mac now. So they're doing something there to unify in a big way. There's been a big hype out there about their new Apple's now going back to their own silicon. Well, they've been doing their own chips, right? They've been doing that in their iOS devices, but they've been depending on Intel for their major chips in their desktop systems and laptops. But now they're saying they're going to shift directions. They're going to now manufacture their own chips for those systems as well. So this is huge. And beyond just making things prettier and more unified, they're pushing in a big direction. They want us to move forward. So I think the best thing we can do as we think through this together is understand what is involved in moving forward and what should I be thinking about as I move forward, especially as a small business owner, when this could be disruptive for my business, contrary to what Apple may lead you to believe initially. So it's an important topic.
Yeah, and I think before we talk more about the specifics of what to do here, I think it's worth just recognizing that this is kind of true for all updates that might be minor. Is you always need to be careful about what this really means to your business. And it's not just as simple as push the button, but particularly, like you're saying, with a major update like this one, Apple's saying it's awesome, but really, is that the right move for you? So, and I think that the reality of it all is it might not be. Is you might need to have a conversation with us, with your IT resource, to be able to determine, are you ready? And in the immediate, for me, annoyed by those alerts and those red dots. I think that there are some ways that you can help to get them out of your mind. Maybe I just need to talk to someone to learn to be okay with the red dot for a while. I don't know, but you can go ahead and turn off your updates, which it might be a really good thing to do right now, is turning off your automatic updates. So how you can do that on an Apple device is going to System Preferences, and within there's advanced features where you see the System Preferences showing you there's an update, there's an advanced button, and you could just automatically turn off all updates before you go to that advanced button. There's a check mark that lets you just turn it all off, but we probably recommend going to the advanced and maybe unselecting the bottom 3 options. It still allows some of the security items to be installed on your device to keep you safe, but protects you from accidentally moving into something new. And as far as making the red dot go away, it's a little more intense. Apple does that purposefully to keep this in front of you. So I'd recommend that probably you do learn to deal with the red dot for a while. We could help with some other ways to do it, but it gets a little more technical. So probably not something we recommend you doing, at least on your own. I think at this point, then, you got to think through what is right, how it impacts all of your applications, all of the things that you need to run your business. And that's where really it's the benefit of an IT partner to be able to understand what's going on and what your needs are. So I would come back to you, Tim, and say, for a business, what is CTSI's advice when it comes to these updates?
Yeah, and I think the place to start anytime you're talking about a business and what it could impact that business, if you push that button and go forward, it's always important to have a strategy. And that's a big thing that we can help, and we like to help our clients with, is think through a strategy. Be ready for, and know that it's purposeful, know that you are moving forward and why you're moving forward and the timing of moving forward. Because maybe it's just a timing thing and you need to wait for a certain period of time for some other things to be ready. And like applications, like anytime there's a new OS version, whether it's Mac OS or whether it's Windows, there's always going to be a period of time where some of your applications may not be ready yet. They're developing them, they're getting ready to release compatible versions, but it may be a timing thing. So the biggest thing is strategy, Dave, that we got to really help our clients know when the right time is to do it, so they're not finding themselves in a down situation and then it's harder to go back. At that point, it's possible, but it's really harder, very labor intensive to go back. So with that, I think let's just talk about a few things related to what we would see as part of that strategy. And one thing it feels important to know about choosing a strategy is there's 2 approaches, right? There's 2 approaches to doing the upgrade. You can do it the way Apple is going to lead you to do it, if you just kind of press the button and go, and that's going to be more of an in-place upgrade where it's just going to install it right on top of what you've already got. It's going to just assume everything's good, and it's going to replace things that it doesn't need anymore and put the new files on, and everything should work, right? Well, maybe not. So there's another option there if you want to go ahead and move forward, and you can do what's called a clean install. And that way you're not going to follow the button approach that Apple has. You're going to kind of rethink this. You're going to have a strategy, and you're going to just do a clean install where you're not going to have it installed right on top of everything else. And then you're going to do some research first. So let's talk about the research side of it. So the first thing you want to do is you really want to take stock. You want to take stock on things like what is the age of your computer or your computer systems? Because this is really a good time because you're going to a major version change of the OS, and you're probably going to be updating a lot of your applications. So it could be a bigger thing, a bigger step. So this is a great time if you got older computers, like business systems, if they're 3 or more years old, especially if they're business critical systems. This may be a good time to say, okay, it's time to upgrade to new computer systems. And the other thing is that think about warranty and so forth on your systems. On a business system, if you've got an Apple Care on that system and you've got 3 years of warranty and you're on 3, 4, 5 years, you've really gotten good life out of that system. So again, business critical systems, it may be time to move on because your warranty is out and you're living on borrowed time at this point, even though Apple has systems that tend to be more reliable and can run longer. It doesn't mean that's a good business decision to do that. So beyond that, you want to think about, are you in a high risk category? And high risk categories are those that may make it a bad idea to follow Apple's lead right now. So one of the risk categories is your system that you currently have, if you're not getting a new system, which will come with Big Sur, by the way, already on it. But if you're going to be upgrading an existing system, you have to pay attention to what Apple is saying is compatible. So there's a list out there. I won't go through all of those. You can see it on Apple's website. They have a how to upgrade page out there that lists these. But you've got systems that if they're anywhere from 2013 to 2017, depending upon the model, they may not be. If they're earlier than that, they may not be compatible. So you want to look at that first. That's part of your strategy. Is your system compatible? And then you got to look at things like memory and drive space inside. So Apple's going to say your minimum amount of memory is 4 gigabytes, but from experience, especially on an older system, you're going to get better experience on that. It's going to feel livelier if you are doing more than 4 gigabytes. So this may be a good time if your system has user upgradable memory to upgrade the memory along with the OS. Also drive space, and I will say that if you've got an older system, it's got what they call a spinning disk hard drive in it. Apple is moving with their operating systems now where they're really expecting you're going to have what's called an SSD or a solid state drive, which is a non-spinning disk. And you will experience a lot of slowness with Big Sur if you're putting that on a spinning drive system. So it could be a good time to upgrade an existing system with an SSD. So look at your older hardware, look at the age of your system, start thinking about is it a good time to upgrade those systems or some of the hardware in those systems. So those are part of the strategy. And then at that point, start having a procedure that you're going to go through. So let's talk real quick about that procedure. Anything, Dave, you would want to add to the discussion about things to be thinking about, kind of preliminary things to be thinking out before you dive into actually doing it?
No, I think I think that's great to keep in mind just the health of your system moving forward and recognize that, especially with Apple's procedure of installing right on top of your old stuff. You're not going to necessarily be doing yourself any favors by putting on the newest and greatest on an old device that's already struggling to limp along. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, because anything that's there that you're experiencing now, whether it's problems or whether it's performance, you're just going to exacerbate the problem all the more. If you put a newer OS like Big Sur on top of what you've got. So you really ought not think about, oh, well, all of my problems I might be feeling today or frustrations I have with my system today are going to go away once I put Big Sur on there. And that's just not true, and especially not true a lot of times if you just do an in-place install of the upgrade and just have it go right on top of what you've already got without doing a clean install or anything. That can really set you up for some real frustrations down the road.
I think also a heads up too, if you have procedures that we'll get into, is when you do an install over the top, you'll notice, like, especially as we're moving into this transition with new chips coming and everything else, there's a lot more concern about compatibility. And when you do install over top, there's a warning, and Apple will take care of just removing all the things that aren't going to be compatible with the new operating system that were on your old device. And so just going back to that need to research and understand, particularly if you're going to do a clean install, it's going to be healthier, is you're not going to know coming in which applications are actually going to be compatible unless you do that research ahead of time.
Right. Right.
So that's critical.
Yeah, and we always prefer to help our small business clients really be prepared for where they're moving with their technology, so they don't find themselves in a down situation suddenly. You know, I mean, if you're a customer that has an ad agency, or you're doing video production work or something like that, and you depend upon your systems to be performing really well, and suddenly you got major team members that can't do anything, they're just sitting there and not able to do what they need to do, and you're losing money. And you're also probably not retaining very satisfied customers because the project's being delayed. So it's a good time to do this strategically.
And I'll
that's
say
something we
too
want to
that
emphasize.
There's always, doesn't matter how much, like you might check and say, like in that situation, you got Adobe. Like you can go to Adobe's site and see, oh, they're good to go with Big Sur. And all of a sudden, all your plugins, or, you know, there's always, everyone has some customization that they've done to their system or workflows. And you need someone to be able to dig deep and understand all of those components are going to be okay or not, or what needs to happen moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so a procedure, one of the things that we do a lot of times with our small business clients, right away, we'll do an inventory of each of the systems to make sure we know what are the applications, what are the third-party applications that are on that system. And then we'll also do an interview with the user and just make sure, hey, tell us the kind of things that you do on a daily basis. Let's make sure that everything you need is going to be there. And it's also a great opportunity because business owners may not be aware of this, but you know the user may have been struggling with these issues going on and they've not told anybody. So this is a great time to say, hey, have you been having some issues? Because if there's some issues with the internal drive, there may be some things that have gotten really fragmented, or there's a failure happening somewhere. This is a great time to say, hey, before we go forward, let's make sure that we're addressing that too. So doing that initial inventory and doing an initial kind of assessment with a user and interviewing a user is where we tend to start. And whether we do that or someone in the business does that, just to make sure. Create your list. What are your applications? You got all your issues taken care of on computers? Are they ready to go? Things like that. That's the first step. So after that, then you got to really check to make sure, go to Apple's website and make sure you know the model name of your systems that you're going to upgrade, and compare them with Apple's list out there and make sure, is the year of the system, the model of the system going to be compatible? So make sure that's done. And then once you've done that, what you were talking about with Adobe, Dave, is an example. Is then you got to start looking at these applications, and you got to go to the manufacturer's website and research: does the manufacturer have a Big Sur compatible version? Is your version that you currently have compatible? Is the license you have compatible? Will you need to upgrade some licenses, and what's that process? You want to get your software ready, so as soon as you press the button, however you're going to do the upgrade, you're ready to make sure you've got those applications either already installed in the versions that are compatible or ready to install, so you don't have downtime and people can be productive. So, once you do that, and you know your applications are all there, don't forget, and this is where people that kind of just are used to having their printers and scanners and all the things they connect that work, they kind of forget that there's a piece of software usually behind those things. They call those drivers. And you want to make sure that you're running the most current version. So printer drivers, scanner software, all that kind of stuff. Make sure it's compatible and either update it if you're going to do the push the button install, or have your updates ready and know that you're going to need to install those if you do a clean install. So drivers, that's another piece of software that can get overlooked. And then you want to be thinking about how are you going to handle your data. First of all, really important thing is before you push the button or do anything, make sure you have a full backup. We recommend, if you can, if you're using something like Time Machine and you know that you got a full Time Machine backup, that's great, because that covers everything. It actually can restore and your machine can boot back up again if you need to. If not, use a third-party piece of software to do an image type of backup, so you can quickly put that back on your machine if things go badly. And you could even extract stuff from that image if you need to install it or migrate it. Worst case scenario is, and it's not a terrible thing, but if you're going to do all manual installs of applications and stuff, and you don't care about having a full image, at the very least, make sure all your data files are backed up in maybe like a cloud file backup or something. So just make sure you're backed up before you do anything else. Don't just move forward, because if something goes bad in the middle of that and you lose everything, you won't be happy. So those are the things to make sure you do it in preparation, and then that helps you know how you're going to migrate your data. If you are going to do a clean install, you're going to be looking at what is the source of my data files and stuff coming over going to be. So one of the things that you want to be thinking about when you're doing, especially a clean install, because you're going to be erasing the drive and you're going to be laying down the OS and your applications all cleanly, which is a really great way to do it if you really want the smoothest possible result at the end. But you want to make sure that you know how you're going to restore that data. So Apple has a great tool called Migration Assistant. So if you've done that backup, that image backup or that Time Machine backup, and you've got that, you can use Migration Assistant easily to go from the backup and get your data back. And you could even use, if you did an image backup, you could even do more of a manual transfer if you wanted to, where you're just removing the user folder over, and then you can kind of re-bless that user folder once you have it over and go in to set up your account once the Big Sur install is done. And again, we can help you through all of that, and there's great resources out for that. But make sure you're clear on how you're going to get your data back, so that's not a surprise. And then and let's talk about like kind of data. We're all, I don't know, maybe we're not. I shouldn't assume that we're all like that. Dave's probably less this way than I am, but I can tend to be a bit of a pack rat, right? I have a hard time not saving files and keeping everything. And I think, Dave, you run a little leaner, I think, than I do, which is a good quality. I want to be more like Dave. So, but the problem is that this is a really good time to maybe take a little bit of extra time and go through, and if there's data you don't need, get rid of it. Clean up things. It means it's less to migrate, and you're not going to be carrying that forward when you get to Big Sur. It'll really feel like a fresh beginning, right? And sometimes it just the clean house just can feel good. This is a good time to clean house, right? And along with that is that there's a lot of times some things can get cluttered up in the use of your computer. So there's some maintenance tasks that you may want to do, like clean caches, and you can kind of do that through either a command line, or there are some really nice third-party utilities that do that for you. So cleaning your caches everywhere, cleaning browser caches, cleaning font caches, cleaning caches, and some of those utilities will also go through and look to see if you have corrupted preference files. Get rid of some of that stuff, so it'll be those problems won't carry forward going forward with Big Sur. So do a little bit of maintenance, what we call maintenance. It's also a good idea if you're going to do an in-place install, is make sure that your the minor upgrades, the minor patches and stuff on your system on the existing version of OS 10 are done and you're up to date there before you install on top of it. That's also a good maintenance thing to do. So good things to do there once you've got all of that in place, and you've got your strategy laid out now. Then maybe the last thing to think about is just going to be only one system you're upgrading, or will you be upgrading multiple ones? And if you're going to upgrade multiple ones, then it's another reason maybe not to just push the button and follow the Apple approach, because the Apple approach means it's just thinking you're going to install on this one computer. You're going to spend this time downloading Big Sur. It's going to download into probably your applications folder. It's going to run, and Apple is going to automatically, if you're not paying attention, Apple's going to remove it when you're done, because Apple thinks you're not going to want to clutter up your hard drive with the installer for Big Sur. But if you have multiple machines, you may not want to follow that exactly. You may want to keep that installer, and you may actually want to set up maybe a drive, a USB drive or some sort of a small drive, to be an installer device that you're going to basically use on all your systems. So you can save a lot of time by doing that one time and reusing it. So that's another consideration to make before you move forward. And once you've done all of that, you've got your strategy in place, you're really now ready confidently to move forward and not just rolling the dice and clicking the upgrade now button. So just good things to think about.
Yeah, so I think, is it right for you to hit the button and upgrade? Well, maybe. And I know for us, how many times have we spent how many hours cleaning up, when things just aren't what they look like if you follow all the hype of the website and you didn't think through all of those details. So it might seem like a lot. You could go through this whole video and really get a step-by-step process for you to be able to make this upgrade, or at least make the decision as to whether or not it's right for you to take this next step. And it is in depth, and there's still potentially items that got missed along the way, and all of it just speaks to, it results in loss of time, loss of work for you, for your staff, for you, major headaches, a lot of complications. And that's really where it's beneficial to have a team that can help and knows, like you're talking about, some of those little things that you can do along the way to make the process more efficient and more effective, just more complete. So for us, we'd love to be able to help you to think through this process. We'd love to be able to give you some extra resources, even if it's, you just want to take some steps on your own. We can walk with you through that, and then we can actually we can do that for you as well. But I do want to give you a couple other resources beyond just this video. We have access to these books that are great resources for you to understand the operating systems that are coming forward. These Take Control books, and we've got a link that we'll put on the site where this is posted for you to be able to reach out to purchase some resources for you or for your team to be able to not only understand some of the details of what's going on, but be able to make adjustments to understand the extra features and the things that are coming with Big Sur, so that when you're ready, you can step into that effectively. Your team knows that what they need is in place, and they'll be able to continue to work moving forward. So most importantly, I think the biggest takeaway here is don't just hit the button. Be purposeful and understand what you need to do. It's worth putting in the research. It's worth putting in the work ahead of time. It's worth cleaning up your system to make sure it's going to happen properly. It's going to work so that you can continue to do what you need to do. So in summary, this update to the operating system is a really big deal. And even though the hype of it sounds really exciting, it sounds like a good move, the annoying red buttons want you to push them and make those updates immediately. But for your business, it might not be the best move to do that. And you should communicate with your staff and make sure that everyone knows, let's pause. Let's do this purposefully. Let's do this in the right way so that our business can move forward together. And then know that we're here to help you. So if you're one of our customers, and I'll mention this, just a little bit of a teaser, and this is for an upcoming video as well, is there are a lot of hardware ramifications that are coming, as Tim mentioned a little bit, with this upgrade, which does speak to even the question of, Tim, you mentioned that if you buy a new system, it's going to already have Big Sur on it. Well, if you've determined it's not a good move for you to upgrade to the newest operating system, why would you go and buy a new system for your staff that has that operating system that isn't going to work for you? So that might be an area where you need to pause, take inventory of what's needed, and but it's a great time to start planning that upgrade. So that's where I'd say if you're one of our customers, you start thinking about some hardware updates that you want to make along with these software updates. It's a great time to be planning to just roll out some new devices. There's a lot of power coming with this shift. A lot of the Geekbench scores, the speed tests and everything are really pointing to some positive things that down the road could lead to some real gains in efficiency for you and for your business. And again, we'll talk about that in a future video. But it's a good time to start thinking. So reach out to us. If you're one of our customers, go ahead and reach out directly and set up a time to chat with Tim and with our team and start to think through your strategy into moving into some new devices, moving into the new operating system. If you're not a customer of ours, I want to invite you to visit, and the link will be here on the video, www.creativetext.biz/free consult. And this is a great way to just get to know us, understand our processes, and take your first steps toward those upgrades or other areas of your technology that might also need to be addressed so that you can be effective in moving forward toward your business objectives. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. I'm going to put a space for you to fill out a form with some comments, some questions. Maybe it's something that we need to address in a future video. Love to be able to continue to provide helpful resources for you. So thanks for stopping by. Tim, thanks for taking some time with us.
Yeah.
I think this is an in-depth, good, helpful resource for people. So if you're still here, maybe you need to go back and watch again, write down those steps, or maybe just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill out that free consult page. We need to get moving with the partner who can help us move through this process. So for all of you, we'll see you next time. Thanks.